However, I'm so sorry. I just don't understand when it became normal for like actual grown adults to make videos like slandering children. You want to know what I was doing at 17 or younger? Like I was butt chugging Four Loko in the backseat of like a 25-year-old's car. And look at me now. You know, I'm on a really successful podcast still. And in your words, I'm a D-list celebrity. So
okay, so there has just been so much commotion over on Reddit. You guys know, if you don't already know, I'm chronically on Reddit. I love myself a bit of Reddit. I'm on Reddit so much that subreddits literally just get recommended to me on the daily, and the cancelled subreddit is one of those Reddits as of late. I've seen a little bit of it, not too much. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm pretty sure, I know that Brooke is literally my age. I googled when her birthday is. I'm literally older than her by like a couple of weeks. So I'm assuming Tanner is around the same age as well. So Tanner Mojo and Brooke Schofield. And I don't know, like I just never watched Tanner. I was never into her, still not into her. It's just not really my cup of tea. So I've never been an avid viewer, but of course, like pretty much 99% of the YouTube population, I know full well over, you know, Tanner's past and all of the ongoing situations that, you know, has involved Tanner. Tanner has been involved in so many scandals, so many problematic things that I mean, literally just a really quick Google search would be able to tell you these kind of things. But Brooke, problem is that quite recently, old tweets have been resurfacing, tweets which Brooke made when she was a child, you know, between 15, 16, 17 and 18. So some when she was an adult, some when she was a child. So it's a little bit hairy, but basically we all know the kind of things that Tanner has tweeted about. She's had quite racist tweets in the past, and for a little while I think Brooke was kind of, you know, going beneath the surface. She has got a very dedicated fan base, let's just say, and by the way, I know all of this purely through Reddit. So if you're wondering why I know all of this, it's literally Reddit. Okay, if you go on to there, the people that are obsessed with Brooke, they're actually called the Brookies Cookies, and they are the most insane bunch of people you will ever bump into. There's literally people just like, I don't know, bloody asking her like what toilet roll she uses, what socks she's got on, literally like the most mundane things. These people love her so much so that there's literally a separate subreddit just for Brooke. Now this podcast was primarily just for Tanner. It was Tanner's podcast, and then Brooke basically is like an added feature now. She's on there all the time.
I was butt chugging Four Loko in the backseat of like a 25-year-old's car. And look at me now. You know, I'm on a really successful podcast still.
And like I say, for a while, the verdict very much was like, everyone knows how problematic Tanner can be, but, you know, Brooke is this easygoing sweetheart. It's just not my cup of tea. And they're pretty much the same age as me, which I think makes me want to watch it even less. If I don't know why, it just does. We're also in like completely different time periods of our lives, like in terms of what we're all doing. So I don't know, I don't really find a lot of relevance to them. But what I will say is that people have forever been calling Tanner out, and for a while people were kind of placing Brooke on a bit of a pedestal. And what has happened in the past, I think this was last year, Brooke's past tweets from when she was younger started resurfacing. They are racist, they are not nice tweets. I will get to the bottom of what some of them were saying. One of them actually was literally when she would have been 18. I only know this because, like I say, she's literally like a couple of weeks younger than me. Yeah, it's not looking good. I said so many accidentally racist things last night, so I don't know how I even made it back to America. She would have just turned 18 a few months prior to that. One of the more appalling ones was quit acting like Zimmerman shot and killed a child. The kid was 17 years old. If you are comparing it to Casey Anthony, Lord help you. If you don't already know, go and Google that particular case. This kid wasn't helpless. What would you have done? Let the kid beat you to death because it's the moral thing to do? No, shut up. Oh my god, I swear I had nappier hair this morning than most African Americans on this end of our country. #Afro. To argue or not to argue, everyday struggle. Oh, I see. I'm going to go later because I get all embarrassed when I work out like a fat girl. Guarantee if Zimmerman shot a white guy, this wouldn't even be a story. Newsflash, this wasn't a crime of racism. It was self-defense. When, I mean, even I know about that one. Even I know about that whole entire situation, and it was so obviously not self-defense. Like I say, go look into it because that is not what this video is about. But I feel like no. So people then tried to bring her up on it. And this was like last year, and loads of people are now getting very annoyed that anyone should ever bring up these tweets ever again, because she was a child and she quote unquote had already addressed it. And when I say people are like, you know, sweeping this whole entire thing underneath the rug, there's literally a thing on the Brookie's Cookies subreddit. They actually had to put it into lockdown for a little bit, so you couldn't even go onto it. It was like a private thing. And then they then turned around and wrote this, which basically says like, do not bring up past things if she's already addressed him, blah, 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 blah. Like some of them were from like 2012, which was a very long time ago. She would have been about 15, 16. One of them where she's claiming that she said so many racist things last night, she can't believe she can get back into America, something a bit like that. She would have been 18 years old. So basically what's now happened is the Brookie's Cookies, literally they're called the Brookie's Cookies, literally going, no, you cannot talk about it here. Loads of people on the cancelled pod are saying, no, she's already addressed these tweets. We don't need to keep on rehashing things. And I kind of went around and I was like, well, has she addressed them? I was trolling through TikTok, I was trolling through Instagram, I was going on YouTube. I was like, where has she addressed these tweets? Like, who is addressing them? Where? This is where she addressed them. In a response to those god-awful tweets, she says, anonymously by the way, on Reddit, I will absolutely address, especially if people are hurt by them. I have talked about it a few times before, how I look back on things I used to think were funny and normal jokes to make, and I'm just as disturbed as you are. I don't think it's normal. I don't think it's okay just because I was kidding or young. I think it's gross and horrible. I will say one of them would have been when you were 18, but let's just, I love you all and I do take accountability. I hate when people say things like I didn't know better or anything along those lines, so I don't want to come across that way at all, but I truly thought I was anti-racist at the time.
Trying to find like the perfect response, like the sweetest response I could craft, although it did take me a sec.
You can find tweets from the same time frame where I'm saying things like, I don't care if you're cute and old, being racist is ugly, etc. I just truly thought I was being funny and I absolutely wasn't. I know differently now and I tried to make that known the best I can. There are family members I haven't spoken to since 2020 when I realised where they stood during Black Lives Matter, and I've grown into myself and my own belief system outside of what I grew up around. I love you guys and I'm sorry to anyone who was hurt reading those. It was never funny. I will then throw up over here her next response as well, but this was basically her responding to those tweets. Now, before I get into what the community has said, because this is pretty much the whole entire reason why I'm making this, is because the way that a lot of people have reacted, especially on like even the cancelled subreddit to some of these tweets, a lot of people are just going, it doesn't matter, like some of it, you know, it was 12 years ago, it doesn't matter, like she was a child, all this kind of stuff, even though like literally one of them she would have been an adult during that time period. If Brooke was really apologetic, she would have made an actual she would have talked about it, she would have actually addressed it, but as far as I'm aware, she hasn't. Now, is there like, the problem is that I knew at the age of 15, 16, 14. I mean, I've always known that A, none of that is funny, like nothing she's saying is funny, and B, none of that is in my belief system. There are a lot of people that are saying, well, it's the way that she grew up and, you know, the way that she was raised means that these were some of the things that she used to find funny. You know, the internet was a different place back then. I'm sorry, I grew up in the same like we are the same age pretty much, give it a couple weeks, literally couple weeks difference. I grew up on the internet in that time period. I would not even think to say any of those things. That doesn't, like, I don't understand this whole entire thing where, oh, it's fine because people were racist back then. And trust me, you see those comments, which is the most shocking thing on the cancelled subreddit, which is the reason why, like, I'm kind of annoyed making this video, is because loads of people were like, oh, it was a different time back then. It was a different time. People said those kind of things. And I'm like, what? Like, no, like, but this isn't okay. And yes, you might have been a minor, which is a lot of people's arguments, like, oh, they were a minor back then, even though one of them was 18. That if you actually felt sorry about it and they were not your beliefs right now, why are you making an anonymous post about it? Why not actually just make a full video? And by the way, all of this is now being brought up because Brooke and Tanner were like taking pictures with James Charles, who is a known, literally has literally stated this like a few times, that he was knowingly engaging, you know, like having sexual communications with minors. Like this is the thing. Yes, their whole entire brand, Tanner's brand, is about being cancelled and stuff, but this is the reasoning why people then went digging to find any other stuff, because Brooke was very happily posting with, you know, James Charles. She then comes onto Reddit. Once again, I feel like she stalks her own subreddit, but she goes on and she basically says, oh, they would, you know, he was just stood in front of in the line. He was just stood in front of us. And it's like, I really, like, James Charles is one of those people that I really do wish did get cancelled. I mean, amongst other people, a massive abuse of his own power. And yeah, this is the reasoning why people were then kind of digging, and people were not happy about it. And even though, yes, these tweets they were from a long time ago, I don't think that's an excuse not to make an actual face-to-face addressing it now, because I feel like only people on Reddit are talking about this, and not everyone else on the internet. And I kind of feel like maybe Brooke thinks that, oh, if I address it on Reddit, I can keep people hush hush over there, but if I actually address it on a bigger platform, more people are going to know about it. I'll stand by the fact that you're an adult now, and the childlike thing to do in the situation is to address it anonymously on Reddit. The adult thing to do, if you want to be an adult now instead of a child, is to be able to come on and go, yes, these were my beliefs, or yes, I did think this was funny, however, I've learned, I've grown, etc. And then people can then choose to accept it or not. I just think it's a very shady situation, and I really also don't think it's very fair for people to then tell other people the way that they should be feeling just because it was like ages ago. It's like, I don't feel like that's fair. People are like, honestly, like, I'll read you some of these things. People are angry, absolutely furious that anyone is coming along and trying to taint the perfect image that is Brooke, which is just insanity to me. Okay, I'm just gonna read you out some of these comments, but I think it's insane. Can the T pages shut the F up? I'm sick and tired of Reddit users and the IGT pages who bring up Tanner and Brooke's past tweets they've literally already addressed. They haven't really addressed it. I mean, Brooke hasn't addressed it at all. The shit they tweeted was absolutely not okay, and I'm in no way saying that it was. However, it was 12 to 13 years ago. Like, be so effing for real. Oh, God's sake. Sadly, stuff like that was very normalised at the time. Making dark humour jokes about racism was unfortunately considered normal back then. The people saying they're outraged by this were probably kids at the time of those tweets and don't realise how different our society is. Okay, I actually generally think this person is a child, because I am literally, I said this 1,001 times, the same age as Brooke. Nobody I know. Is this an American thing? Is it? No one I know would have made those things. No one I know would have said that funny. It's not a thing. Like, yes, I understand that humor was a lot more, there was definitely a bit more dark humor. Like, I do fully understand it. Like, you know, when Shane Dawson was about and he was making noise, yes, I get that. But some of these people that are saying some of this stuff are literally like, are now is the same age that I would have been back then now. No, we haven't had like a mass like personality shift where all of a sudden that stuff was okay back then and not now. No, I think it's honestly to do with like, it maybe to do with how she was brought up. Okay, I feel like your justification would have been a hell of a lot better if you'd have just left it at, this was the way that she was brought up and now she doesn't feel like that, or now she doesn't recognise that as very funny. Because I'm pretty sure Brooke has addressed the fact that she was brought up by a family who were very conservative and did used to think that kind of stuff was funny. That would have made a much better argument, other than, well, back then we were all like, all the teens back then were like that, and we all, no, absolutely not. And once again, like, I just feel like I've been bombarded so much over on the subreddit with this kind of stuff that I feel like I've got a very good grasp over how I feel about the situation. And how I feel about the situation is, I feel that an on-off, like just an off-the-cuff anonymous Reddit response is not enough. Least you could do is just make a video to address it, because I think it's a cop-out. I think you just do not want to upset your brand by having that relevant. And unfortunately, you are in the public eye now. We've seen it time and time and time again, that people have had to apologise for what they said when they were younger. And I don't feel like this should be any different. I'm just not, I don't quite understand. If people have come across these kind of things and they kind of want you to say something, even if you were a child, you know, if you actually mean what you say, and the fact that you're grown now and you don't think those things anymore, the most you can do is just make a statement about it, as in like a public one. That's all I'm going to say. And then at that point, it's like, okay, you've addressed it, and then people can then feel how they want to feel. But I think it's the shady antics of like only addressing it on a platform where people are calling you out on it. That's just how I feel anyway. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree and be like, you can't hold her accountable because she was 17. And I don't know. I don't really want to fall for that. And then also, I feel like a lot of the times these influencers are hide behind, oh, the time is different. The time was different back then. I'm their age. I was there in that time. I wasn't in America, but I was there in that time on social media. All right. And I'm telling you that it would have been frowned upon back then as well. I don't get it. I feel like you can kind of gaslight like a younger audience now into thinking that times were like so different, and I do agree that they were, like, people were a lot more outlandish back then, do not get me wrong, but like full on like just being a racist, like no, that still would have been called out. That's just the way that I feel like people just place these guys and other influencers and like LA influencers on such a high pedestal, and I think it is so ridiculous. Like, can we please refocus our minds on just anything else? Like, put the amount of energy that some of you guys, or like some of the, you know, firm, like, who worship these people, if they put that energy into like anything else, they could really accomplish quite a lot. That's just my own thoughts and feelings. This has been quite rampagey, but anyway, I'm sure I'm going to piss a few people off, but you know, have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch up with you guys in the next video.